who's as adamant about his or her position as I am about mine, whom you think is sharp. Seriously, we know that. And another thing, we heard him say that... Hey sports fans, Larry Elder here. Welcome to another edition of And Another Thing. If you'd like to become an Eldorado, go to LarryElder.com, fill out the form. You're going to get, in addition to becoming an Eldorado, a free copy of Michael and Me. What is Michael and Me? Michael and Me is my feature-length documentary where I explore the Second Amendment and where I literally track down and confront Michael Moore. I do. The way he did Charlton Heston, I track him down and I said, Mr. Moore, how many times do Americans every year use firearms to defend themselves? And 3 times he said, well, I'm not going to give that away. You have to get Michael and Me. Now for our topics today for And Another Thing. There are 2 things I want to talk about. The first is I want to talk about the Eric Cantor blowout. And the second is I want to talk about the blowout that's going on right now in Iraq after our exodus almost 3 years ago. But first to Eric Cantor. Eric Cantor is the House Majority Leader. He's the second most powerful guy there. Odds-on favorite until a few days ago to succeed John Boehner as Speaker of the House. And everybody I know tells me that Eric Cantor wants to be President of the United States. Frankly, 535 people on the Hill, the House and the Senate all want to be president, but he really does and thinks he has a shot. Until a few days ago, he lost his primary to an unknown guy who's a economics professor who argued that Eric Cantor had become too tied into the establishment, had lost track of his district, had spent too much time out of his district, but more importantly, had become aligned with the amnesty movement. Actually, Eric Cantor opposed the comprehensive amnesty bill, but he did support the so-called Dreamers, that is allowing people to stay here legally who entered when they were kids illegally with their parents. And there right now are a whole bunch of people crossing the border, mostly from Central America, as a result of a rumor that now is the time to come in. And Cantor's opponent was able to successfully tie him to what was going on down there. Now you add that to probably what happened behind the scenes is that Eric Cantor probably assumed that given the fact that he was able to outspin this guy, I heard 10 to 1, I heard 20 to 1, he just knew that he was going to win. I also understand that 2 weeks out before the election, the polling data showed that Eric Cantor was ahead by 30 points. That's what Cantor said. I don't think there was an independent poll because I don't think anybody thought he was going to get upset. So this was just out of the blue. And I don't think we ought to make too much out of it. The Tea Party was involved, but it wasn't something that was done from the big national Tea Party groups. I'm going to interview one in a little bit, and I'll find out more. But my understanding is there were some local Tea Party groups that got involved. But by and large, Laura Ingraham, the conservative talk show host, Mark Levin, the conservative talk show host, Ann Coulter, the columnist, all agitated in favor of Cantor's opponent. That might have had something to do with it. But I also think that probably in the waning days of the campaign, a lot of people saw these pictures of all these kids mushed up in these detention centers in Texas and in Arizona and other places, I understand, Oklahoma and Lord knows where, and they were ticked off, and Eric Cantor caught the brunt of it. What it does mean is that any kind of move towards so-called comprehensive immigration reform is DOA. It means that. Now, as to Iraq, right now we're witnessing Mosul being taken over, the city of Tikrit being taken over. Fallujah was taken over after our military men and women worked valiantly to secure that city and make that country relatively safe for our departure. President Obama came into office to be the anti-war president. He always called the Iraq war a dumb war. He was hell-bent on getting out. There isn't even a residual force there. So as a result, the country right now is descending into chaos, perhaps even civil war, and a whole bunch of people are going to die, including those who sided with America, who tried to build some sort of fledgling democracy and are now going to be branded as traitors, as anti-Muslim, all because we didn't stay the course. I understand that the American people were sick and tired of the war in Iraq, but I also don't think the American people understand the consequences. And the consequences are more than just our leaving. They're also that we're going to embolden the terrorists, and don't think the terrorists are going to be satisfied just with having overrun Iraq. Hope you enjoyed this episode of And Another Thing. Go to LarryElder.com, fill out the form, become an Eldorado. I'll see you next time.